So if you're looking to 2x your closing rate, right? I'm talking about doubling your sales, doubling your income, doubling your revenue. One of the most important things you have to nail down is sub communication, right? Because if you fail to truly understand the first principle of sales and communication, which is actually the energy or sub communication level, then you end up learning the right things in the wrong order and don't move the needle as much as you actually could be moving. So here's what I mean by this. Like, let me actually just share my screen and show you guys what this whole thing is about, right? Because the power of sub communication, when done right, is absolutely beautiful. Because my intention with this training is I want to raise your guys' awareness on the tools that I've personally found closing 5.4 million in sales and helping, over 100 plus coaches and sales pros. This is what helped me improve my communication so that ultimately you can actually make a shit ton more money and impact in terms of lives being changed, right? And some of you guys already know who I am. I don't need to show you the receipts. So I just want to get straight to the training. And the question that I invite you guys to really think about is think about music, right? Who here kind of just likes a specific type of genre? And I want to invite you to think for a second why you like that type of music. Because for me, for example, I love house music, I love hip hop, and the reason why I like these specific type of genres is it because it makes me feel a certain way, right? And just like a great song, a great sales conversation should make you feel something, right? Both the highs and the lows. Because the most boring songs are just kind of these most monotone songs that kind of just feel safe or kind of make you feel the same way all throughout. A great song actually has a dynamic feeling of making you feel a whole sort of emotions. And you need to think about sales conversations just the same way, right? And I grew up classically trained in singing, right? I love classical music, I love jazz music, and one of the things that I actually aspired to kind of be more like is Claude Debussy. Believe it or not, I was really into piano growing up, and I was really into classical music. And he always said something that stood out to me, which is music is the space between the notes, right? Music is the space between the notes. And what that really means is at the end of the day, it's not about just trying to put all the perfect sequences and put all the perfect notes together. Music is really kind of the in between, the read between the lines of sorts. And sales is the same thing, right? It's not enough just to say the scripted line. It's not enough to just, you know, say a bunch of things in order. The dynamics, the variation, the pauses, all these different dynamics are what actually create great sales conversations. So my past life, like I said, I was actually a singer. I was actually part of a choir back in high school. We used to travel Europe, perform in these tours for several weeks. I had the great fortune to tour in like Portugal and Spain. If believe it or not, I'm actually that brown guy on the left there. But the thing that actually prompted me to make this video is there was a lot of key lessons that I learned as a singer that, funny enough, translated super well in sales, primarily when it comes to sub communication, the voice, and tonality. And that was why I had the edge amongst 95% of salespeople, was because I realized there were things I learned on how to really manipulate, leverage, and use my voice that actually powerfully led to enrollments, closes, and a lot of people's lives changed. So I'm going to share those lessons with you today. But I think the best way to start off is actually, I created this, what I call the sales skill stacking pyramid, right? What do most people do? Most people actually do this backwards. They try to learn the script first. They always, people come to me when they want sales coaching. They say, hey, Larry, can you teach me what to say? Like, what's the script that I need to say? What do I need to say when they say, let me think about it? And I always say, John, I invite you to think about it like this. You're actually thinking about this in the wrong order. You're asking the right question, but you're asking in the wrong order. And what I've found is it's more so starting at the foundation, which is energy, understanding your tonality, your intention, your presence, your sub-communication, your values, your alignment. The energy is what actually moves the needle. If you don't get any of this right, if you don't get energy right, you could say the right thing, but it doesn't actually land and create that emotion the way you want it to. So I want to go over 5 key tools for better sales subs communication so that ultimately you guys can 2x your closing rate and just become a better communicator overall. Now, this isn't just a sales context. This can actually work in just relationships and communication and influence overall. But I learned these 5 key things, funny enough, not from sales beginning. I actually learned these things from choir and singing first. So number 1, tonality. Tonality is how dynamic is your voice and delivery, right? How dynamic is your voice and delivery? So the best way to actually really just give this as an example is I want you to think of tonality as the foundation for your whole sales process. It's the foundation for your questions. And I want you to consider how the following phrase sounds with the emphasis put on different words. So we'll start off. I didn't say that we're going to steal the car. I didn't say that we're going to steal the car. I didn't say that we were going to steal the car. I didn't say that we were going to steal the car. I didn't say that we were going to steal the car. I didn't say that we were going to steal the car. I didn't say that we're going to steal the car. I didn't say that we're going to steal the car. So obviously for dramatic effect, I want you to think about like, what did that evoke in different emotions depending on where I put the emphasis? That is what tonality is, right? So from there, I want you to think about cadence and tempo. What is the speed at which you deliver your lines, fast or slow? Do you have variation in your speed, right? So going back to this is, I didn't say that we were going to steal the car. I didn't say that we're going to steal the car. I didn't say that we were going to steal the car. So what's really important to understand here is that you can actually create almost this like anticipation or this dopamine hit depending on where you're speeding up and slowing down. One of the things that I've realized when coaching people is that some people just stay at the same speed the whole time, and you're kind of training your prospect to like kind of expect you to deliver a certain thing. But when you're actually having that variation, when you're changing the cadence, when you're changing the tempo, just like in a beautiful song, right? When things speed up then slow down, right? Some of the best artists are really good at doing this. They keep you kind of on your toes, switching up the BPMs, the beats per minute on a song, and creating this dynamic, right? Number 3 is silence. Where can you intentionally pause to allow a greater emotional impact? So think about this. For example, when you're dropping the price for your investment during a sales call, the make it or break it can literally be that silence, right? So when you say, hey, Josh, the investment for the program, it's just 10K, right? Even in that silence right there, you're allowed to process what was just going on. You're allowed to kind of feel into whether it's the fears, anxieties, or the excitement, the nervousness, whatever it might be. You can feel into what exactly is the emotion that fully needs to develop. Because the biggest mistake that I see with people is like they don't allow the science to actually take hold. And so what ends up happening is they go into this point where they say the price and then they just go speak again. And then the person doesn't actually process all their emotions. And then it creates a lack of clarity or confusion. So they end up just saying, let me think about it. Right? So that's why silence is super important. Number 4, energy. To what extent are you mirroring your prospect's energy? And where are you allowing over enthusiasm to cause unnecessary sales resistance? So one of the biggest things is trying to understand what energy do you need to be playing at, right? What I always say is a good rule of thumb is if someone is too slow energy, you're about 1 to 2 steps ahead of them to lead them, but not 4 or 5 steps over enthusiastic. And if someone is too high energy, you're actually about 1 to 2 steps below them to ground and center them. I don't want to be overly enthusiastic with them because then I'm kind of just like yapping, right? I'm just talking back and forth. We're not actually allowing ourselves to connect. And then last but not least, postures. How are you framing this conversation? What is the perception of how this prospect sees you, right? A posture that is superior is someone who talks down to you, a little bit more authoritative, a little bit more leadership. Like, hey, do this right now. I want you to buy this program right now. I'm not letting you leave until you do it. Or more neutral. Hey, at the end of the day, I just want to make sure there's alignment. It's up to you whether or not you decide to buy this program, right? Where do you want to go from here? Or inferior, hey, like you've already gotten a lot of great things. I don't even know why you should buy this program, to be honest. I mean, you tell me, is there even a need for you on this? Right? So there's a couple different ways to apply those postures, but those are the 5 key tools for better sales subcommunication: tonality, cadence, and tempo, silence, energy, postures, right? Those are really the key things. Now, if there's anything else that you feel like is included in that sub communication, I want to hear from you guys in the comments below. This is personally what I've just found that works really well for me, right? And at the end of the day, the whole intention and purpose behind this is just so you guys understand, back to this sales skill stacking, this is what actually matters at the end of the day, is mastering energy first and then working your way up. But that's it, guys. Hope this video, was great for you guys as well, just as much as me. If you guys have any more questions on this, drop it in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Sensei out. Cheers.